Welcome to On The Ascent Health. Today, I'm joined by Nate Dietz from the Premier Life, and we're talking about heart rate variability, or HRV. HRV measures the tiny variations in time between each heartbeat, and it's one of the most powerful indicators of your nervous system health. Contrary to what you might think, a more variable heart rate is actually better. A higher HRV generally means your body is more resilient, adaptable, and balanced between stress and recovery. A lower HRV can signal strain, fatigue, or that your nervous system is stuck in overdrive. In this episode, Nate explains why HRV matters, how it reflects the health of your nervous system, and what you can do to improve it, from recovery strategies to lifestyle changes that support balance and resilience. If you've ever wanted to understand what your smartwatch data is really telling you and how to use it to feel and perform your best, this is a conversation you'll want to hear. Welcome to On The Ascent Health. I am here with Dr. Nate. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So my wife and I run a holistic healthcare practice here in Midtown Anchorage, Alaska, and we love serving families and really helping people find a different path to resolving chronic health issues, whether you're facing an autoimmune issue or migraines or fertility issues. We help people from a wide range of walks of life to help them find their way to health.
And do you identify yourself as a chiropractor?
I identify myself as a chiropractor.
And any
Yes.
specific specialty within that?
Yeah, I mean, we really focus on the nervous system, really, as chiropractic, is really fantastic with taking care of the nervous system with the spinal cord and the brainstem. We really primarily focus on that, but we also focus on a lot of nutrition, detoxification, lifestyle-based healthcare, that helps people live to their fullest potential.
Awesome.
So.
And one of the things that Dr. Nate does and talks a lot about is heart rate variability. So we're going to be exploring that today. We've got some of his cool gadgets here to explore.
Yeah.
So what is heart rate variability, and then why does it matter?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of my practice members, when they come in and I tell them that we're doing a heart test, they can kind of scratch their head a little
Right?
bit as like, oh, we're doing a heart exam here at the chiropractor's office. And it's actually a really great study for looking at the autonomic nervous system. And so really you have like three different parts of your nervous system.
Okay.
You have the sensory side, you have the motor side, and then you have the autonomic side. And the autonomic,
What is the autonomic side?
autonomic literally translates to self-naming, but really autonomic is like this self-running thing. And like, you thank God we don't have to like think about like whenever we eat food, we don't have to think about digesting it. Whenever we're faced with like an infection, we don't have to think like, man, I really hope my immune system fights that off really well, right? It just automatically does it. And so for our nervous system, like our bodies were designed with an intelligence that allows these things to happen automatically. And so we want to make sure that part of the body, that intelligence, is running uninhibited.
Right. Okay. So autonomic, we could basically say it's like the automatic
Right.
nervous system as opposed to the non-automatic. Motor and the sensory. Sensory meaning you feel things, motor meaning you do things.
Yeah.
So what is heart rate variability, right? So it's marker of the autonomic or automatic nervous system.
Yeah. So there's this thing called the respiratory sinus arrhythmia, which means that it's a really fancy term for whenever you breathe in, your heart rate's supposed to increase, and when you breathe out, your heart rate's supposed to decrease.
Okay.
Right. So you'll see like a lot of like breathwork practices
You
where
breathe out slower than you breathe in.
they have you, yeah, exactly. They have you exhale nice and slow, and that's supposed to increase parasympathetic tone,
Right.
or that brake pedal part of the
Yeah.
nervous system, right? And so what heart rate variability is really testing is that it's testing how well your heart rate can accelerate and how well it can decelerate. So your nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, has a gas pedal and a brake pedal, the sympathetic fight or flight response, and the rest and digest parasympathetic response, which is like the brake pedal. And so you want to really be able to put your foot on the gas and put your foot on the brake, right? If your brakes are cut, or if you don't have any gas, it's hard to get to where you want to go with your health.
Yeah,
So.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how does it, I would say, like, how do they test heart rate variability?
Yeah. So
what is it that we're measuring here?
Right. So really, like what we do when we measure it is we're looking at the beats. So from beat to beat, as we go through accelerations and decelerations, there's a variability to where you look at the peak of how well you can accelerate and the peak of how well you can decelerate. And we want to see a wide range of that. If somebody has a really diminished gas pedal and brake pedal, what that means is they can have a lot of imbalances in the autonomic nervous system, or they can have a lot of dysfunction with the mitochondria, which is looking at like the overall, you can think of it as like a battery percentage within the nervous system. And so if they have diminished energy levels or an imbalance in the autonomic nervous system, you're going to see dysfunction in the heart rate variability scores.
Okay. And is the heart rate variability, is it better to have a high score or a low score? More variable or less?
Yeah, and it's so heart rate variability is actually something that's being incorporated with a lot of different technology nowadays. Like you can see it on Apple Watches, you can see it on Oura Rings, you can see it on Whoop bands, and so a lot of technologies are incorporating this specific measure into their wellness scores. However, when you look at those different scores, they give you kind of a analog scale of like really high or really low,
Okay.
right? When we look at the insight scans, this is looking at a more analytical approach to the heart rate variability, where they're giving you not just whether you have a high score or low score, but they can tell you whether you're more sympathetic dominant or more parasympathetic dominant. So it's either left or right sway. When you actually look at the results of these tests, it's actually on a heat map. So on the center of the bullseye, you have a green circle, and then you have a yellow, and then you have red.
Okay.
And you want to shoot right in the middle where that green target is with your heart rate variability. So a lot of the people that come into our clinics nowadays, they're usually either swaying to the left or the right side. And you can usually tell like when somebody walks in what side they're going to be on.
Which way am I swaying? Can
And
you tell?
so
We can test.
yeah, well, right. And so sometimes when somebody comes in and they're in a sympathetic dominant state, their ears or their shoulders are up to their ears, they're stressed out, they're usually dealing with some sort of issue, sometimes with digestion, with hormone balance, with a lot of those different things.
Right.
They're stuck in that sympathetic dominant state, right? So usually those people are going to score more on the left side, more gas pedal in the heart rate variability. The people that are more on the right side are the people that have been struggling for a long time. I think of like nighttime nurses that are constantly exhausted, right? They come in and they say,
burnt out,
"Hey, Dr. Nate,
adrenal fatigue."
adrenal fatigue." Yeah, and just like really, you can think of somebody that is either like stuck with like chronic flus, just chronically exhausted. Like I remember that we had this young kid that came into our clinic, and he was 8 years old. He was pale as a ghost.
Yeah.
And he had lost so much weight because he had been constipated for over a month. And so like he had been to the emergency room 3 times. They had tried 3 different treatments for him. Nothing was working. He lost so much weight that he was weighing less than his younger brother, who was 6.5 years old.
Yeah.
And just when he came in, he was just like a shell of himself. When I would be talking to him on the intake, he would just be kind of struggling to stay connected, like stay attentive, and just had like 1,000-yard stare on his face, right? And we actually ran these tests. So we did a heart rate variability test on him. We did a thermography and a surface EMG, which are 2 of the other tests that we do in our clinics.
Okay.
And his scores, so you're supposed to be right there in the green.
Yeah.
His was way down in the red, like all the way down at the bottom, right? And he started care with us, and after specific adjustments to his sacrum and his upper cervical spine, he saw that vagal tone bounce back, or that autonomic nervous system bounce back in function to where he regained the ability to go to the bathroom. So yeah, I don't think, his mom actually texted us after his first adjustment, and he had gone to the bathroom 3 times that night, and I don't think you'd ever find anybody that was more excited about a bowel movement, But for families like that, it's a super important thing, right? And so we use these tests to kind of justify why people are experiencing that dysfunction and kind of give them a roadmap to regaining their health.
Okay, so these do something different, right? I've heard like increased heart rate variability is good, decreased heart rate is not. Do they measure that, or they measure more than that? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
it
saying?
measures more than that. You want to have the increased heart rate variability, but you also want, like for instance, with Whoop bands, with Apple watches, with Oura rings, they don't tell you whether you're sympathetic dominant or parasympathetic dominant, right? They just tell you
Right.
that you have a low score, right?
So you could have a low score on either
So you can
side.
have a low score on either side. Yeah, and typically when somebody initially goes through a stress, so really how you lose that heart rate variability, how you lose that high score, as you know, Doc, with chiropractic, they talk about the three T's, thoughts, traumas, toxins. Really, those things can cause dysfunction in your autonomic nervous system, and they can bring down your heart rate variability score. So, as I know what you guys teach at Ascent, what we teach here at the Premier Life, like we want to live a life that is aligned with how we were designed to live,
Hmm.
right? And when we go away from that blueprint,
Yeah.
we diminish our heart rate variability,
Yeah.
right? So we want to make sure that nutritionally we're doing well, like movement wise we're doing really well. Stress, resilience, we want to make sure that our mindset is strong. We want to make sure that just the daily habits that we have are conducive to health. And so when we go away from that, you're going to see our heart rate variability diminish, right? And so there's that can really ask, like, well, how does our heart rate variability impacted by that, and what's really happening,
Right.
right? Well, when your body faces those kinds of stressors, it causes dysregulation in your frontal lobe, it causes dysregulation in your brainstem. And so anything that we can do to take stress off of the frontal lobe, off of the brainstem, is going to help bring that heart rate variability back up.
So what are some of those? What are kind of like the things that positively impact it?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So really, so being a chiropractor, my first, you know, tool in the toolbox is to adjust somebody,
Right.
right? And so that an adjustment is one of the biggest stimulations to the nervous system, because most of the receptors that we have are A, close to our brain, and B, close to our spinal cord,
Makes
right?
sense.
And as you know, like the most delicate system in the body is the central nervous system,
Right.
right? And the way that you and I were designed is that that system is fully encased in bone,
Right.
right? And so it's really well protected. And the nervous system puts out a lot of sensors around it to see exactly what's going on in the environment that it's in, right? And so when there's a lot of dysfunction in the joints that surround the spine, that are especially upper cervical and sacral, if there are a lot of issues in those regions, it's going to dramatically impact our heart rate variability for the negative. As far as like other things that we can do,
Yeah. Back in the day when there weren't
right, when the
chiropractors, like
yeah,
what else is there?
yeah, breath work is one of the immediate things that you can think of. Somebody explained it to me the other day that the respiratory centers lie right between conscious and autonomic parts of the brain, and
Makes
so it's
sense,
it's kind
right?
of a
We can
gateway.
control it, or we can, or yeah,
Yeah, we can
we still
control it.
breathe even if we're not thinking about it.
Yeah, so I mean, if you take a moment and you feel your heart rate racing, right, you can take a moment and to just slow things down, right? There are other practices that people do when it comes to, again, like going back to the thoughts, traumas, toxins, things that we can do to help with our thoughts, whether it be prayer, meditation, you know, taking a moment to taking a step back out of the present moment that we're in, and just, getting perspective on stress patterns, in our lifestyle. As far as like toxins, things that we consume,
Right.
our lives are constantly inundated with
We're
things that we are
bombarded.
not
Yes.
meant to
Yeah.
eat, right? And so there are a lot of things that can take us away from normal autonomic tone. First thing that comes to mind is like people that are over consuming alcohol, or
Right.
consuming stimulants that are like caffeine on a daily basis, nicotine on a daily. Up here in Alaska, like
Coffee.
coffee is a
Yes.
fan favorite, right?
Yes.
But making sure that the habits of those, that you're not pushing yourself out of your resilience,
Yeah, that makes
right?
sense.
And so that's,
Do you
when you
drink any coffee?
I do drink
Okay.
coffee, yes,
Okay.
absolutely, I do.
Right. It's one of those things, have some, but not too much.
We make those choices, right?
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, like I feel like I have a kind of unconventional like approach to nutrition. Like I think that when people are in a uh lacking state when it comes to their health,
Yeah.
really the nutrition that they should focus are on things that they can grow
Mhm.
specifically in the area that they live in.
All right.
Right. So
What
we're
are
in
you guys growing up
so
here?
we're in a northern
Yeah.
latitude, right? And so or you can harvest in your area,
Okay.
right? And so blueberries,
Right.
a lot of meat that people can consume up here, whether it be from cows that are raised up here, moose, fish like salmon is fantastic up here. Anything that is like berries up here,
Yeah.
you'll notice that a lot of like cancer diets will emphasize berries that are high in antioxidants.
Right.
Well, berries that grow in the harsh environment up here are sky high with
Yeah.
antioxidants,
Yeah.
right? And so like there's a lot of things that we can eat that are here in our present area that make it really conducive to health up here in the northern latitude. Things like coffee, right? So coffee
Does not grow
does
here.
not
You're
grow up
right.
here, right?
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, like it's tethered to solar cycles and things like that. And so when you move down more towards the equator, funny enough, sunlight like UV light is actually upregulates the enzymes that help to metabolize caffeine.
Okay. So I drink more coffee when I'm on vacation.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Less coffee
So
here, more coffee on vacation.
right,
Yep.
yeah, and so really we're meant to eat things that are growing around us in our environments, and so thankfully, like we are like humans that are technologically advanced to where we can bring coffee up to the northern latitude and we
Right.
can have that caffeine, for the
Yeah.
low, sunlight days. But using it in moderation, not having it be a crutch, like that's going to be something that's not going to take you out of your resilience.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes some sense.
Cool.
I'll have to think about what else grows here that I can drink besides coffee.
Yeah,
There might
right.
be like some natural alternative.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
See, how often should people check their heart rate variability? Like, do you recommend that they have a watch to keep track of it to see what affects it or not?
Yeah.
Like, what's helpful, what's not?
Interestingly enough, like I think that a lot of the technology that we use can actually diminish your heart rate variability.
Right, we're getting constantly monitored. I don't know
Yeah,
if that stresses people out.
for
That would
sure.
stress me out.
Yeah.
So, who wants to know that they've slept terribly? You probably already
You're like,
know,
I
but
already
you
know that.
don't want to
Yeah.
know. And if you did think you slept well, you don't want to be told you slept terribly.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And, I mean, having that, like, we live in a life that is so disconnected with ourselves that we have to have something that tells us whether we're healthy or not.
right.
Right. And my goal for a lot of people is for them to get to a point to where they can be in a place to where they know
Like it's more intuitive.
that it's more intuitive.
Okay.
Right. But it's good to also have that objective measure to actually show like, hey, we're doing well, right?
Yeah.
And so I recommend for our practice members here once every 6 months to have these tests done, all three of these tests done. If they are going through a different season in life or they're not reaching their goals through care,
Yeah.
I say, hey, let's take a look and let's see how you're doing really,
Yeah.
and that way I can better guide them, because I never recommend anybody to take a supplement to do a detoxification program unless their nervous system is fully online and fully functional,
Yeah.
because it'd be like, if we were out on a boat and, if I took a water bucket and was trying to get all the water out while we had a bunch of holes in the bottom of the
Yeah.
boat, right? You got to
Keep
do the
dumping it in.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. You got to do first things first,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, I always recommend people take care of the nervous system first, because every function begins and ends in the nervous system. So if we make sure that that central area is working properly, then we can go out to the different areas of the body and make sure that those are working the way that they're supposed to.
Got it. I was gonna ask two more things. How does the sleep affect it? I would assume that a sleep helps center you
Yeah.
probably in there, and then exercise.
Sleep is one of the most important things that someone can do to help their body heal, right? I don't know if you know this, but the IARC, like the people that classify something that's carcinogenic or not,
Okay.
they actually classified night work as a
Yeah.
class 2A
Yeah.
carcinogen.
Did know
So
that.
that's, and like sleep is really when our body regenerates. It's when it
Right.
heals, right? And so our nervous system is really, really active during sleep. I don't know if you've ever seen like an EEG while somebody's sleeping, but they're like, if you ever heard of REM sleep before, like that's
Right.
rapid eye movement.
Yeah.
And so our nervous system is working overtime during sleep to be able to regenerate our body. And so like heart rate variability has a huge impact on sleep. And so, come to think of it, like I had a practice member when we were practicing down in Indiana. He told me that he would get like 5 to 10 minutes of sleep, of REM sleep per night for the past like 5 years.
Yeah.
And he'd wake up super groggy. He'd wake up like
Yeah.
he would never have any dreams. He'd wake up multiple times throughout the night, and his whoop scores were horrible,
Yeah.
right? And his nervous system stress scores showed that his heart rate variability was very diminished, and there were other tests that were showing that he had a lot of upper cervical issues. And when it comes to parasympathetic tone and making sure that we're accessing that, we're looking at the brainstem, specifically lower areas in the brainstem like the medulla and the pons. And he had massive irritation up there, right? And once we started to get to work on reducing some of that inflammation and strain on the brainstem, he started his whoop scores and his REM scores started shooting through the roof, where he was getting an hour and a half of REM score through every night.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, like those things like heart rate variability and sleep can kind of go hand in hand. Like a lot of people think that when it comes to sleep, like you go to sleep in a tired state, but actually your body, you get really good sleep when your body has good energy levels, which kind of is
Right.
kind of
Well, like, right when
counterintuitive.
kids are super tired, they don't want to go to bed.
Right.
So it's a thing.
Yeah, they kind of become a little bit more
Yeah.
wired, right? And a little more
Overexhausted.
cranky,
Yeah. That
right?
second wind and
And that's why a lot of times, like when somebody, like maybe you've had a natural health provider in the past, like where they recommend like magnesium for your body to go
right.
to sleep.
Or
Well,
all of melatonin
or
supplements out
melatonin, right?
there, CBD,
Melatonin,
CBN. So
yeah,
I like
yeah,
it.
CBN, yeah. So cannabinoids, melatonin, magnesium, those things are all targeted for your mitochondria, which are energy producers in the body that can help your body go into a more relaxed state. If you think of like, especially think of it this way, right? So relaxation is an energetic process. And what I mean by that is when you look at somebody who is dying or dead, they
Yeah.
go through rigor mortis,
Right.
right? And rigor
Everything gets
mortis
tight.
is
Yeah.
tight and rigid, right? And so when I think of somebody, if somebody's laying down on the table and they're really tight, they're rigid, they're getting poor sleep, I'm thinking of somebody that has really poor energy levels in their body. And so if we can work to restore those energy levels, you're actually going to see more relaxation, right, in their body. You're going to see relaxation in their mind. You're going to see people that are going to be able to sleep a whole lot better. And so his story, turned out that once we resolved that issue, restored energy levels in his body, then he started sleeping fantastic. So
Cool. And then how
yeah.
about exercise?
Exercise is great. It's kind of a two-edged sword. You don't want to make sure that you're overdoing it
Right.
with exercises.
Overtraining, I think, decreases it.
Right. Yeah. It's all about healthy stress levels, right? And when we think of stress, like I don't want people to think that, stress is something to be completely avoided, because there are good things that we can do with stress,
Right.
like hormetic stress, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Making
Yeah.
sure that we're going through proper stresses to make your body more resilient,
Right.
right?
And there is some stress in life and
And
opening up a business.
opening a
Raising
business, yeah,
kids.
living life up here in Alaska,
Yeah.
it comes with its stressors and stuff like that. But you know, it, like we want to make sure that we're engaging in stress that's natural, right? There's artificial stress and there's natural stress. The natural stress, our body is designed to become more resilient to. Artificial stress, we don't necessarily have that.
Can you give examples of each so that we
Yeah, like an artificial stress that people experience on a daily basis is sitting in front of a screen for 8 hours a day
Yeah.
and constantly getting that input from their screen into their midbrain that throws off the biological clocks that they have. Um, you know, drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, caffeine, things that aren't, kind of like we're talking about, things that aren't growing in our area.
Yeah.
You know, traumas that we can experience, car accidents, things like that, concussions. Those are stressors that our bodies struggle to adapt to, right? When we think of natural stresses,
Getting chased by a bear.
getting chased, yeah,
Charged by a moose.
right, yeah, going for a jog,
Okay.
right, or going for a run outside,
Yeah.
lifting weights, cold exposure, heat exposure. A lot of those things are natural. They're great for your body, elevating those resilience pathways in the body. Yeah, those are great
Oh,
ways to do it.
cool. And then let's see what we got here. Yeah, what do you do when your stress is high? What
I
are
get
your
adjusted.
You get adjusted?
I get
And
adjusted.
does that actually bring down all of
It
your
does.
stress?
It does. Well, it brings.
Cool
So
effect.
there are things that we do. It's not. It's never just one thing, right? A lot of people want answers for just the one thing. What is the one thing that I can do? Well, there
Right.
never really is just one
Oh,
thing,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And so I always make sure that whether I'm in a stressed out state, whether it be through prayer, whether it be through breath work, getting stress off my brainstem, spinal cord by getting adjusted, going through an exercise. So when I used to work at a practice in Atlanta where we were at a functional neurology clinic where we'd help kids with ADHD, autism, cerebral palsy, and one of the very first things that we had them do was actually go for a walk. And when you go through an exercise like walking,
Yeah,
or like a cross crawl exercise, or where you're kind of building up some sweat, right, and you're
yeah.
sweating a little bit, what that does is actually removes cortisol out of your brain. And so that's why sometimes people find it, better where they get that endorphin rush, they get the
Yeah.
cortisol drainage out of the brain.
This is why I run. I
The,
love to run. It is my
yeah,
stress reliever.
right.
So
It's a
yeah.
great stress reliever, and
I
that's
don't
why.
run for exercise. I run to like calm myself down. So
So that's why, that's why that effect happens, is because we're burning out cortisol out of our brain. And so like exercise is a great method of improving your heart rate variability, bringing that resiliency back into your nervous system. And that's really what we're looking for when we want people to go on a path that's more conducive to health.
cool. And then what other health choices do you take daily that aren't necessarily the easy ones? Like maybe you don't eat pineapple because it doesn't grow here.
On
Easy
vacation.
or convenient that
Yeah.
you think that like compound over time to increase your health.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can think of your health almost as a bank account, right? And if you're constantly making withdrawals and never really doing deposits, then you're going to find yourself in a state of deficit. And when we look at like the healthcare system that we have right now, usually people wait until they're bankrupt with their health to actually do something about
Yeah.
it, right? And when you're bankrupt, you end up being in a really reactive state. And that is like the absolute last place that you ever want to be, whether it be with your finances or with your health or with your relationships. Like you never want to be in a reactive state. So it's always important to make those deposits regularly to where you're engaging in these health practices that are building you up, right? And so exercise is something that's really big for my wife and I and my son. Being outside, even in days like today in Alaska, like today is like a really overcast day here in Alaska. Even getting outside during days like today is really important. Making sure that we, like when it becomes later in the evening, that we start to turn down the lights, turn down the devices, making sure that our body is starting, our minds and our bodies are starting to kind of, get into a more relaxed state for sleep, things like that, and engaging regularly with people in our community.
Say
Like
community is huge for
community
health.
is
Yeah.
huge. Yeah, it's huge. And so we want to make sure that we have people that are around us that we can that we can give and take support with, and make sure people that are getting through life, together. So
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. And then how old do you think you'll live to be?
We were talking about this beforehand,
Right.
like I want to say 120,
Okay.
but it really, like we have chronological ages and we have like physiological ages, right? And like when it comes to like people today, like and thank God we have like the Western medical system, and a lot of times like with that system, people make it to a really late chronological age, but
Their health isn't great.
their
Yeah.
health, like
There's
their
lifespan and there's health span.
right,
Right.
yeah, and like the health span of the people nowadays is in such a diminished posture. Like I just want to make sure that I'm living a life to where I can enjoy grandkids, great grandkids down the line and spoil them and get on the floor and go on hikes with them, because there's so many different hikes up here in
Right.
Alaska that we can take them on, and just enjoy life uninhibited.
All right. That's what leads me to my next one. When you're 97, what will you be doing? Good thing
I
that you're
will
living
be,
longer than 97. Otherwise,
yeah.
I'd have been in trouble with that one.
Yeah. Well, when I'm 97, Lord willing, we'll be eating well, moving well, having relationships that are fulfilling and getting adjusted.
And
For
you might
sure.
have great grandkids.
And
I'm trying to
potentially.
do the math on, yeah, depends. So
Potentially.
very cool. If you have time, we could run through one of these.
Yeah. What do you think your results are gonna
Oh, very sympathetic.
be?
I run on the sympathetics. I think I like it. It's one of those things like I'm trying to learn how to calm down because I don't think it's great for
Yeah.
my body, but I like stress to an extent. I like things to be exciting. I like changes. I don't like to sit still.
Yeah.
So when I basically like my day is go, 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 hit, put my kids down and fall asleep
Right.
because I'm tired.
Like when it comes to stress, like stress is so relative from person to person. Like if I asked a Navy SEAL what was stressful
Right.
to them versus like an average person on the street, like you get wildly different answers.
Yeah.
Right. And so like I think that stress is like something that's just so one-on-one, right? And so like these are great tests to show like how your body is adapting. So do you want me to hide this from the screen here?
I don't care. That'll be.
This is actually really good.
Oh, wow.
So
You should show it to the screen, guys. I got a bullseye.
So do you mind if I show them? Is
yeah,
that okay?
go for
Okay.
it.
So this is what comes up when you're through the test here. And so as you can see, like we have a heat map here.
You're pointing at this one.
And this one right
That'll
here. Okay.
be better.
So you can see that we have a heat map right here. And so we have a green, yellow, red. You want to have it score right in the middle of that green.
I guess
And
I do thrive on
Dr. Laura's,
stress. Wow.
she's right in the middle of the green. She scored a 96 out of 100.
All
so that's
right.
an A.
I'll take it.
Way to go.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'm an overachiever.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. What are you doing to maintain your heart rate variability?
What am I doing? I'm running. That helps.
Running.
I'm cuddling my kids.
Cuddling kids.
That helps. I don't know if I breathe. I think I sometimes breathe. What else? I eat healthy.
There you go.
I think I eat healthy. I have caffeine sometimes.
But your body, like you've built enough resilience and more deposits in your
Right.
health bank to where
Yeah.
like you can enjoy coffee when you want.
And
Right.
I think, right, if you said, if that's the case, like I'm living a very, very purposeful, fulfilled life.
Yeah.
And if that's the thing that helps your heart rate, then I'm doing that at least. So
That's awesome. We'll keep up the good work.
yeah, that's exciting.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks for listening to On The Ascent Health. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you found it helpful, share it with a friend and leave us a review. It helps more people discover the show. The views and opinions shared by guests on this podcast do not necessarily reflect my own or that of Ascent Health and Performance. The information provided is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Next week on The Ascent Health, Dr. Aday from Rejuvenate Health and Wellness joins me to talk all things hormones, perimenopause, fatigue, weight changes, brain fog, and why so many women are told that their labs are normal when they don't feel normal at all. If you've been wondering whether what you're feeling is hormones, don't miss this one. Until next time, onward and upward.